Hello, my name is Matt Lee, and today I'll be sharing with you my blended learning project pertaining to my 9th grade English Language Arts class covering poetry. This unit is based on the station rotation model in the classroom. There will be 4 stations total, but 6 parts to the module. I use Canvas as my LMS, and we are in student mode for this presentation. When the students log in, it will take them to their home page, which you see here, where they will see a grading from me, what to expect for this unit, how Canvas will be used, and instructions to go to the Modules tab to begin their adventure. So when they go to the Modules tab, they will see the different stations. There are 4 stations here, as well as 2 other things for them to look at. They will first begin with the learning objectives and standards. So if they click on the learning objectives for the unit, they will see what they will be able to do by the end of this unit. After we go through that, they can click next to see what the standards for the unit are. These are Kansas standards that will be met throughout this unit, so they are right there. They have the option to click next or go to modules, and they will be instructed to go back to the modules tab. Because each of the stations, each of them will end up at a different station. So let's just say that they will begin at station 1, which is station 1 is time with the teacher. So there'll be a group that comes up, and we'll start here for a teacher-student face-to-face instruction. In this portion, we will go ahead and discuss what poetry is. We'll look at the history of poetry, the nature of poetry, and the sound of poetry. I will ask them what their favorite poem is, if they have one. Then I'll tell them what mine is, which is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Then we will dive into what poetry is, the history of poetry, the nature of poetry, and the sound of poetry. After we kind of talk through that and discuss different aspects of poetry, then they'll click the next tab, and we will listen to and follow along to The Road Not Taken. It's on video, the words are on the video, but there's also words right here that they can follow along with or just read for themselves. So that's station 1, just to kind of give them an overview of poetry and to get them thinking about poetry. Station 2 is parts of a poem. So they'll start here with parts of the poem, and they'll watch this short video to see what the different parts of the poem is. Then they'll type done, so I know that they watched the video, and they'll go to the next section. Here, after they watch the video, they'll go to these flashcards where they can go ahead and review what they've learned. This is the parts of the poem flashcards, and they'll just go ahead and go through these so they can kind of know, and then they can mark down if they didn't know the answer at all, if they knew it perfectly, or if they were somewhere in between for that. And then the stanza, the answer for stanza is virtually paragraphs in a poem, and so on. So they'll work through the flashcards. When they finish the flashcards and they have them down where they think they know the answers, they'll go to the practice. This practice, they'll be taken when they click the Google Doc, and there's instructions for them to make a copy and how to make the copy. They will go to parts of the poem, and they'll go ahead and look at the poem, The Road Not Taken, and they'll answer these questions, highlighting different sections in yellow, like where the lines are, or a stanza. They'll bold where words rhyme, and they'll put an asterisk at least 4 line breaks in the poem, just to kind of reinforce what they had learned previously in this lesson. Then they take a short 6-question quiz that covers everything that was for that, for that one station. Station 3 is different types of poems. So they'll start and they'll watch this video about 6 different types of poems, and after they watch the video, they will list at least one type of poem that was in the video that they've heard of before. Then they'll go to the next portion where they can play a little game. It's a memory game. So they just press start, and what they'll do is just play the old-fashioned memory game. where they can look, and then when they get it correct, sonnet is 14-line poem with a rhyme scheme. then they just hit next until this whole thing is completed. They can play as many times as they want. They can reset it when they're done until they get a good firm grasp of what each of the types of poems are and a brief definition of them. Then they'll move on and they'll start a discussion board. With this discussion board, they'll pick one of the 6 types of poetry that we went through, which one they're familiar with, and give examples of that. Everyone has to make at least one poem, make one post and reply to another student's post. Then there's a 10 question quiz over the 6 types of poems that were in the video for them to answer each question for that. The final station is analyzing and reviewing different types of poems. Here they'll start and they'll read this article to find out how to analyze a poem in six steps. They'll watch another video to get a different perspective on how to analyze poems. After they read the article and watch the video, there's a 3-question, 4-question quiz in Google Forms for them to take just to kind of reinforce what they learned. Then after they finish the quiz, they'll make a copy of this Google Doc, Poetry and Analysis, for the remainder of the station. After they make a copy of this is what it looks like with the haikus and sonnets. They will click next and continue on. And here they'll look at haikus and there's 10, this link will take them to 10 different haikus for them to read, and they are to choose 2 of the 10 to review. They'll click the link to sonnets and they'll pick 1 to review, and they'll do the same with limericks, free verse, ballads, and narrative poems. And again, that will all be done on this in Google Docs for them to fill that out. After they do those analysis, then they will come to the point of their final project. Their final project will be the following day. It'll be done as a group together, but it'll be done individually. Well, they'll choose one of these to write, either a sonnet, a haiku, or a ballad. And then they'll choose another one, either a limerick, a free verse, or a narrative poem. And when they turn them in, they have to choose one of their original works to submit either a video or audio presentation of them reading their original work. After they submit that, they will be assigned another poet, and that poet will go ahead and analyze and review their original work. After that's all finished, they will do an exit poll. And this exit poll, they'll take a few minutes to fill it out on how well they think they did, what they thought about the unit, if there's anything they didn't understand or we need to cover more, and how confident they are when it comes to what makes up poetry and the different types of poetry that there are. There's also a short answer question for them to kind of reflect on what they have learned and if their attitude or thoughts have changed about poetry. That concludes the stations. I see the stations working in 2 different days. The class will be about 50 minutes long, so that should be enough time for them to complete 2 stations each day. And then they'll have that 3rd day that they will go ahead and actually write their poetry and analyze and review their partner's poem that they had written as well. As I look at it, I think that it will work really well in a 9th grade class. I think that it would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of interaction, a lot of videos, a lot of creativity that they can use on their own, as well as different points of checking on their understanding for it. And I think overall it would be quite successful. Thank you.